Hey, I'll call the meeting to order. Start off by saying Happy New Year to everybody and welcome to our first council meeting of 2021. So we'll start with our invocation and our de facto chaplain.
Yeah. Let us pray. Dear God, we thank you for today, Lord. We thank you for the holiday season that we just got through with, God. We thank you so much for that time with family and, Lord, the ones that we couldn't be with. God, I ask you, Lord, just let this season that we're entering in this new year be different. God, I ask you, Lord, just to bless us in this new year, God. Thank you for another year. And, Lord, I ask you, Lord God, just to let it be different than the last one in some aspects, Lord, and heal the people that are sick and watch over the country in terms of just health and sickness for everybody involved. I ask you, Lord, just be with the meeting tonight, be with the things that are discussed. Lord, I ask you to continue to watch over the city, the people that protect it, and just make it go on a day-to-day basis. Lord, we thank you for all you've given us and even the things we may not can see. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. If you'll stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Lilly. Here. Myself. Here. Preston.
Here.
King. Here. Phillips. Mayor.
Here. Councilman Phillips has a basketball game tonight, so we still have a quorum without his presence here. So we'll move on with the, well, let me go back to the agenda and give everybody an opportunity to check it out before we go on. So I'm not going to read it to you, but I'll give you the opportunity to take a minute to read it. Okay, the consent agenda is the minutes of our last regular council meeting on the 15th of December, and then our work session on the minutes of the work session on the 29th of December. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept.
In a second?
Second.
In favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, we'll start with our departmental reports and start with the fire department. I cut your slide down just a little bit, Johnny, but I think you can talk to it.
I don't think I can see that. All right, well, starting off with our report, our safety pretty much where it is. We haven't done anything there. Come on down there. We're on track with our budget this year. We have a few items that we are working on, but right now we're on track with everything. Our staffing, we have got a new personnel, so we're moving up on that. We did put a new guy on yesterday, so that is getting better.
So we should turn that arrow up.
Yeah, that arrow should be up. Facilities, we're still where we were. We haven't done anything. We did have a conversation in work session about a possible second location, so we'll be talking about that in the near future. So I would say that arrow should be level since nothing's changed. Vehicles, we talked a few weeks ago about our Iranian vehicles. We did get a transfer from the PD, the Dodge Wrangler that wasn't using, so we've actually got that to take place one of the old ones. So I believe we can put it in the fleet and get us by until we can do something better with the purchase of the vehicle. Equipment and tools, pretty much everything stayed the same except, and that's an ongoing issue with our equipment. There's always equipment got to be purchased, but we did get a little lucky with the COVID money, and we've got to do a little better with that on the EMS side. The EMS side, we did get some things that have been needed, so that's moving up. Highlights and opportunities. I'd like to talk a little bit about the Santa deal. We had some ups and downs about our Santa this year, and everybody is aware of that. This year was a little different. I can tell you why there wasn't a mapping in the schedule, because we didn't know if we were going to have staff to even do it or not. It was a last minute decision on my part. The ones we normally use, I had one that was out with COVID. We usually run 2 trucks. I had one that was sick that night. So at the last minute, we had to come up with a plan to do what we do. It was gonna rain Wednesday, so we was waiting on the weather. You know, it's a bad situation that you have people argue about a samurai. That's not really my high priority, although I understand it's important in the community. But that's not an emergency service we provide. That is as you would say, a luxury that we give to our citizens. So that being said, you know, if we only made 8 people mad and we got 4,200 happy, then I'm good with that. Okay? So let's move on off to Santa. I just want to say that.
I just want to say Santa's important to me.
And we're going to do, we've been doing Santa for 28 years. We've never not done Santa. But under the circumstances this year, it was different. We didn't stop, we didn't associate, we rolled. And I will say this about that. There were some complaints about the trips we didn't get. During the time we were riding Santa, we ended up with one call that truck answered. And in the middle of the ride, the 2 drivers that was on there was the Reed brothers. Their mother ended up getting transported to the hospital. So they parked the truck early and went to the hospital. So I can make excuses all night long, but I'm good with the Santa this year, just for the record. Carriage funding update, yes, we did get some good items. We made good use of that money, some items that we wouldn't normally even purchase in the city, so we're moving forward there. Second station discussion, I'm gonna let you go with that at a later time because that's in yours. Again, we did have one employee yesterday. Issues and concerns, I believe I just covered daily staff and agents leave the facility. So,
Any questions for Chief Howard?
Well, I had no complaints sent to me about Santa.
well, there was a few on Facebook,
Well,
the city website, so
I understand that,
I just
but
wanted to address them.
I appreciate you making an effort and your folks making an effort. Obviously, you can't please everybody, but I think this last year was, if nothing else, it was uncertain all year, so I'm sure that was the case for that. But I appreciate your efforts, but I understand. I hope everybody else does too.
And if you didn't get what you wanted for Christmas, you now know it was caused by the elves of COVID. COVID messed up everything. Okay. Sheila was not feeling well, and pretty much things are the same at the library. In her issues and concerns, she's talking about change coming. She's expecting library participation to pick up. I appreciate the optimism there, and she wanted to highlight the fact that Weeda Mayfield had name tags put on the Thomas Kincaid picture and dolls that were donated by Ms. Davis. So pretty much things looking pretty decent at the library. Any questions on that? I don't know that I could answer them, but
Is it open full time now? Are we back 4 hours, or do we know?
I believe so. Yeah, and she's pretty much fully staffed.
Good.
As well. So. Environmental services.
Safety, we've had no injuries this year so far. The budget's on track, and we've been working on the grant money that we're getting. So we've been meeting with the engineer, trying to get our right of ways, getting ready to spend some of that money. So it's probably going to come around April when we start off that. Facilities, all the buildings are in good shape. We're looking at building the equipment storage building I mentioned last time. Sewer lines, we're currently working on upgrading some of our collection system. The equipment, there's some equipment we have scheduled for repair at the treatment plant. It's supposed to take effect sometime this month. The training, we're still working on continuing education hours. We get those throughout the year, pretty much all year long, when the classes are available. Issues and concerns, we're looking at updating the collection system. Collection system dates back to the 1930s. Therefore, each year we start with the first section and add that section to the budget for the next following year. That way we can kind of get on the program to get some of the lines fixed every year. Highlights and opportunities. We've got a grade 1C certified collection system operator now. Chris Lee passed his test on December 29th. So he's moved up to a supervisor. Our staff has the opportunities to move up as they acquire a higher grade certification from AIDA.
Well, congratulate Chris. So appreciate that. On the sewer repair around April, what impact is that gonna have on, roads, traffic, et cetera?
It's not gonna affect any of the streets, because we're gonna blow it under State Highway 25. So it'll be a road blower, it won't disrupt any traffic. Everything else will be behind, businesses.
Okay, very good. I was kind of perusing through some ADECA sites today, and there may be hopefully some opportunities for us to pursue some more grant funding to deal with upgrading those collection systems. We need to take a good look at that. Any other questions or comments for Dale? Okay, senior center. You might need to tilt it down too,
We're really just kind of cruising along. We're not able to open still because of the state regulations, but we are still serving Meals on Wheels. All the senior center staff are scheduled for CPR first aid recertification in February. So that's something we do every 2 years. We're still delivering about 50 meals a day. We've suspended coffee talks and picnics because Shelby County is in red for COVID. So we just want to err on the side of caution. We're doing our CPR certification. We are not really spending any money, so that should make everybody happy. So our staff, we are doing very well. In January, at the end of January, Amber, who is my assistant, will have her baby. And so she will be out for 6 weeks, and that will be difficult. Because she does a lot of the state paperwork and things like that. And so that would be a fun time for all of us to try to catch up on all that, but we'll make it. And the only really facilities problem we have is our entry doors. If you've been to the senior center lately, you will notice that the sun has taken a toll on those doors, and they just need to be resanded and stained. But that may be something that has to wait till spring, I would imagine. So, and that's gonna be it.
Okay. Questions or comments?
This may be a dumb question, but I'm gonna ask it. CPR recertification, I guess, does the senior center have an AED?
We do have an AED.
That's a dumb question, I guess.
And that is not something the state requires, even though I think that the state should require that we all be CPR certified. That was just something when I came on board that I thought we all need. And we used it a couple of times, or first, several times actually. So, but it's just a good thing for everybody to know.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Thanks, Al. Okay, this is Human Trafficking Awareness Month in Alabama. So what this is a proclamation, I'm going to read the whole thing for you, about why we have Human Trafficking Awareness Month. It's actually a national initiative, and this is the state level. And so the purpose of this proclamation is to declare this also Human Trafficking Awareness Month in the city of Columbiana. So there's some interesting things there that you might say that when you look down here, there's an estimate that the national age of entry into the sex trade is 17 years old, and here in Alabama, Homeland Security has identified victims as young as 9 years old. And so the first step is educating the community, and so I ask you all to support and really be aware that human trafficking is actually a real issue. So I therefore declare it or proclaim it to be Human Trafficking Awareness Month in Columbiana. I'll sign that proclamation. Okay, I don't have a supporting chart for here, but we need this resolution, obviously, because this is going to involve the commitment of funds from the city. We have a contract, an agreement with Wayne's Pest Control for pest control services for all of the city buildings, if you will. It's extremely reasonable. I think each building is $30 a month or less. And now that we have the Old Mill Square facility in operation, we need to add that. Now, it's a much larger facility, And by adding that to our pest control arrangement, our contract with Wayne's, the initial servicing of that facility will be $325, and then it will be $275 a quarter, not a month. We'll do it on a quarterly basis at the Old Mill Square. So, could I get someone to enter this resolution?
Mr. Mayor, I ask, we approve resolution 0111 authorizing you to sign a contract with Wayne's Pest Control.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
And we'll need to have a roll call vote.
Councilmember Whitley?
Yes.
Mizell?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell?
Yes. Okay, so the resolution has passed. The next thing I want to talk about, and we've talked about this quite a bit, is the enhancement of both the city website and the Old Mill Square websites. We actually have two websites, and we have two different entities that are servicing those websites. The existing developers and service providers for the city is a company called Infomedia, and for the Old Mill Square, it's BLP Media and Design. We sent out requests for proposals. We got proposals sought proposals from Infomedia, Civic Plus, as well as the Shelby County Reporter, who has gone into the website development through, I think, their parent company, from what I could gather. Did we actually get a proposal from them? We did. So we looked at the various proposals, and what our recommendation is to go with Civic Plus. So what I've got up here, you can't see, these pictures are very small. This is our existing city website cover homepage, and this is the Old Mill Square homepage. But Civic Plus is a firm that specializes in municipal and government entity type websites, and they host the website and develop the website for Shelby County. And with the two screens that I have down here, this is Alabaster's website, which they do, and this is Calera's. So we looked at what they proposed as far as development cost, and we looked at the maintenance costs and the flexibility that would be available, and we felt like the best value would be Civic Plus. So our recommendation is to go with Civic Plus. I've got a chart here, it may be a little bit hard to read, which is the cost comparison, but essentially for 21, 22, and 23, if you take a look at what the maintenance of the current two existing websites is, it's $50,000 over, I believe, those 2 years. And if you take a look at the initial setup for the two websites, which would be Old Mill Square as well as the city website, and they will be linked, those two websites. The cost of that is $16,500. It's $11,500 for the website design and setup, and then in 22 and 23 there'll be a maintenance fee of total for both sites of $2,500. So so that's $16,500 total. That is a saving over 3 years of more than $34,000. So we think it's a smart thing to do economically, and we actually think we're going to get a better product and better service based upon what we have today and what we've seen from the proposals. How it's going to be funded, I'm going to let Charlene talk about that.
We had, years ago, there was an account set up that was called our capital expenditures account. And that used to be where we would set aside money, and instead of it being budgeted in your regular budget, that the money came out of that capital expense account. Everybody started doing it in their budget and through their own budget process now, so that there was some money left over in there. Well, over the years, it's just sat there and built interest and hasn't been spent. So there's enough money in there to cover the first year cost plus some. So we
Yeah.
can do that through that.
And the reality
And
of
it
it
is a
is,
capital expense.
yeah, so the reality is there is a upfront cash expenditure of $11,500, but this is easily going to pay for itself by the second year. So without further ado, we will need a resolution entered or proposed to commit the funds to allow me to sign a contract to go with Civic Plus for the development of the website. Any further discussion or questions
Yeah,
about
I've
it?
got a question. So the current city, you said it'd be linked to the current city and the current Old Mill Square page, I guess we'll call it the page. So will those sites still exist? And
Yeah.
this one will be created and just linked as you said it would? So I guess there'll be a hyperlink to,
So there will be two completely new websites. And what we're going to do is maybe I should let Allie explain it, but basically they will download the content from the two existing websites and create two completely new websites. Now, we won't have just a page for Old Mill Square on the city website. We will have a completely different website, but there will be a link on the city website to the Old Mill Square. Allie, is there anything I left off there?
So the Old Mill Square website will just function as a sub
correct.
site to the city of
So basically we're adding to while keeping that existing content, really.
We're
Yeah.
keeping the content, but eventually the maintenance agreements with the two firms that we currently have will go away. And we're just picking up, Civic Plus will end up designing and creating these two new websites because we hope to have better content, better functionality, more user-friendly on the front end, and hopefully more user-friendly on the back end so that we can constantly feed and update those websites. And then the maintenance, ongoing maintenance of the two is significantly less expensive. With some flexibility. There is one thing that wasn't on the chart. After the third year, so I count my fingers, 2024, the annual maintenance fee, the $2,500 annual maintenance fee, I may have said monthly before. If I did, that was a mistake. It's $2,500 a year. Will go up 5% per year. They call that a technology fee, and kind of makes sense. You know how technology is constantly changing, so that 5% increase allows them to deal with any changes and upgrades in technology. And of course, by that time, we can take a look whether or not we're happy and we want to continue the service with these guys.
So I guess we don't have to sign a long-term contract. We probably got to give them 60 days notice to get out of the agreement type of deal, or 30 days.
As far as the termination clause, I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. Do you recall, Alan?
within the committee, and we are already passed, we're just on a month basis.
Yeah, you're talking about the existing ones?
Well, I'm talking really just both. I figured that the existing ones are that way, but the new one, is it structured? We don't have to sign like a 5 or 10 year contract, long-term. Okay.
It is for those 3 years.
It's for the
3 years,
yes. So after those 3 years, if they went up 5% and we wanted to shop around, we could certainly shop around. The problem with shopping around is you got to pay somebody once again for their development costs.
Yeah, I don't know that, Charlene may could tell us, I don't know if they were included in the bid process, or not the bid process, I don't know if they were included in the vetting process when we first started the first website, I'm not sure. But, yeah, but with them being city and government and municipal oriented, I think they have the templates that obviously work with some of the bigger cities, so.
Well, again, we got to see examples of content from all of the, even though I was a little concerned about the reporter because they're not normally in the website development business, and the local guys, we would be actually, I think, their first ones to do it. But their parent company has done some nice website development work. They may have provided some, but that newness from the reporter kind of made us a little bit shy. And so again, Civic Plus just seemed to be the one that had the best flexibility, and we were able to see that they are doing a good job for the county and for Alabaster and Calera as Any other questions or comments? So is there a motion to enter the resolution?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a recommendation. We accept resolution 012102. It's authorizing the mayor to sign a contract with Civic Plus.
Second.
And we'll need a voice vote.
Councilmember Lilly? Yes. Myself? Yes. Rustin?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, the resolution is passed. So hopefully we'll see some good stuff come out of this soon. Now, this is about a 16-week process if it goes on time, so I'm probably a little bit late saying this. So obviously we'll be continuing the maintenance fees on our existing websites until this thing is up and running. Okay, board reports. I put this chart up here mainly to talk about the different types of boards and committees that we have. We have basically on the boards, we have incorporated and unincorporated boards. Now, incorporated boards are formed by the authority of the city council, incorporated city boards. But once they are incorporated, they are independent entities. So most of these boards up here are incorporated boards, with the exception of the water board, basically meet on an as-required basis. They do not have regular meetings. But Housing Authority, Industrial Development Board, Public Park and Recreation Board, and the Cultural Facilities Cooperation District, these are boards that don't normally meet on a regular basis unless there was some issue that required them to meet, with the exception of that is the Water Board. When these boards are formed, they are formed by a resolution that was adopted by the city council to go ahead and apply for incorporation. And those I thought we had a fire or something too. And those articles of incorporation then provide the rules of how the board functions and the appointment and assignment of board members on those boards. Once those board members are in place, they serve out their term and they cannot be removed by the council, except there is an impeachment process. And I have no idea how that works. But if for some reason somebody was really bad and for whatever reason we didn't like them, we could charge them with Russian collusion or something. We could bring impeachment proceedings against them, I guess. And then there's the unincorporated boards, like the Beautification Board, the Library Board, the Recreation Board, the Planning Commission, Zoning Board of Adjustment, and Board of Adjustment and Appeals. Now, I put asterisks by those last two, and those, once again, are boards that meet on an as-required basis. If there was somebody on the Zoning Board of Adjustment, somebody wanted to apply for an exception, if you will, to a zoning regulation for the use of their piece of property, then they could bring that to the Zoning Board of Adjustment. The Board of Adjustment and Appeals deals primarily with property abatements for development of property and that sort of thing. And then our standing committees, the Finance Committee, Public Safety Committee, Personnel and Policy Committee, for the most part, again, meet on an as-required basis. We had a work session on the 29th of December. We talked about some specific policies that we wanted to address, some personnel issues that we wanted to address. And so we've asked the Personnel and Policy Committee to look at those. And we'll see it in a chart a little bit later on. We are looking at the potential of refinancing the city's debt to try to save us about $40,000 a year in our debt service cost. And when we do that, we will also probably ask our Finance Committee to engage in that process as well. Now, as far as board reports, we've decided we would show this and just ask those boards that have met since our last meeting to discuss it. And I don't know that we've had, because of the holidays, that we've had any board meetings since our last council meeting. So I think we're done with this unless anybody has any questions or comments. Okay. Other business and discussion, at our work session on the 29th, we talked a great deal about a vote that will be going on in the unincorporated portions of southeast Shelby County for the establishment of an emergency medical service district. And that district, for those folks in the unincorporated incorporated area, will involve the collection of some annual fees to support the EMS. And we really, the city of Columbiana, I use the term, we don't have a dog in the fight, because we cannot vote in this election to establish this EMS district. But we do need to consider, from a city's perspective, the future of EMS service for the city of Columbiana. So we discussed this. We will, I think I'm going to suggest that we wait until after the EMS district vote, kind of find out the lay of the land, so to speak. And then after that, we will probably engage in some discussions with Southeast Shelby EMS to talk about the future of EMS services for Columbiana. Any comments or questions from the council regarding that?
Those town hall meetings have been set, I understand, right?
They have. You pointed it out. They're on Facebook, their Facebook site, Southeast Shelby Medical Facebook site. They have set dates and locations for town hall meetings to discuss the ins and outs, pros and cons, answer questions, etc., regarding this EMS district. We mentioned a minute ago debt refinance. I received a proposal from Fraser Lanier, an investment banking firm. David Langham is their representative. He was involved with a different firm, but he was the lead man for the recent debt refinancing that we did in 2018 and the issue of additional debt for the Old Mill Square development. He came to us, has done an analysis of interest rates, and it looks like without changing the term of the debt, the amount of the debt, any of this thing, we have the potential of reducing our annual debt service by approximately $40,000 a year. Some years a little more, some years a little bit less. And over the life of the loan, it would be, or the life of the debt, it would be more than $1 million of interest savings. I took the data that they provided us, and I asked our accounting firm to review it, because it was a fairly complex analysis, and for someone who's not that familiar with bond financing, such as I'm not, I wanted to have some CPAs take a look at it. They looked at it, validated the data. I had them on the phone this morning with Fraser Lanier and David Langham. We agreed, in fact, that when they crunched the numbers, the two came up within $3 of each other. So that's certainly noise level. And then I also took the proposal to our city attorney, because we will have to go through what's a bond validation process, which we had to go through the last time as well. And I asked the city attorneys if this was something that they had the capability of doing or were interested in doing. And they certainly have the capability, but in consultation with them, they felt like that it would probably, because they have all the data, they've done it before, it would probably be better, faster, cheaper to go with the same bond counsel who did it for us the first time. So we discussed that. And so in the next several weeks, we'll be having discussions about the potential of refinancing that debt. There's an election going on, some of you may have heard, in Georgia, that could change the makeup of the the Senate. And there is a potential that interest rates could potentially spike quite a bit and make this refinancing moot. But nevertheless, we're going to start this process and be ready. So if the rates stay low, we can take advantage of that. I wanted to bring up the issue of the sanitation truck. We've talked a lot about our equipment in our public works department. It's aging, and we pretty much work on keeping it together with chewing gum and baling wire. And we finally have just basically had a truck die on us. And we have taken a look at some options for trucks, and I'll let Al talk about that real quick.
Currently, well, in our normal time where we run two trucks, a big truck and two pickups to go get all outer part of the city and stuff, and everything. They have a route every day except on Wednesdays. Big truck runs every day. Currently we've got 30-something dumpsters out there, and in the process of putting more out there as people's contract comes up and everything. The backup truck is usually sits down there on the shed with the pickups to back up to and dump off. It comes to East Lily's house and them down there is dead. We're sinking good money into something that's not going to get no better. The whole back gate of it is eaten up, rotted off, and a new gate is $23,000. The truck's worth about $7,000 if we sold it like it is right now. Well, you could put 23,000, we couldn't get our money back out of it, we lose some money. So I talked to Sanson and Woodman, who we bought the last truck on. They don't currently have any trade-ins or anything, everything they got is new. And their cheapest truck is $170,000. The Ingram equipment where we used to buy all the time and everything, and currently have one, the truck is broke down to come from there, which it was 2015. They took in, let me back up for you, they gave me a price on the new truck, and it was $180-something, which the Howell bed on the backup is better than when it comes on from Senate. They currently took in 5 trucks from a city out of Mississippi. It's got their trucks on a rotating basis every 5 years. Ingram buys them trucks back from them and takes them 5 brand new ones. The truck was running down as a 20-yard truck, and most time we have to go to the landfill about twice or sometimes 3 times a day. The trucks they took in is a 25-yard truck. It'll be a tandem truck. It's got a heavier duty main bed on the back of it. It's a bigger truck. It's a road truck. Everything. They've got 5 of them, and they're 2015 or 16. And they've got one over there. It's got 6 months ago. They said they got very short. It had a new motor, transmission put in it. The rest of them run from about 90-something thousand miles to about 110,000 miles, which is no mileage on the diesel. Price on that truck, you get it rigged the way we got to have it to have the dumpsters. If our oven goes down, it's going to run between 89 to 100, somewhere around in there. And they've got 5, and I went over there yesterday, and they went over and looked at them, and they're still currently, they sent them all back to Southland, and then to go over it, check anything that they found wrong with it, be fixed, and they put it in their shop and fix any lights or anything they see is wrong with it, and then it'd be detailed out and everything. The truck would last us several years, because usually we get one, we run it to it's just wore out. We don't have the luxury like some of the larger cities where we can get in that lease space where every 5 years we get a new truck. But that truck that they've got over there brand new will be cost us about $230,000 or more. We're to the point now, if something was to happen to the truck we use every day now, we wouldn't be able to dump the dumpsters. Like I said, we got 30-something dumpsters out there, and they dump it every day.
So looking for ways to save some money by refinancing debt, by redoing the websites, and Charlene found a little bucket of unused money, and we still don't have enough. But we're also reviewing our budget, and I think we're just going to have to revise the budget, and we will figure out a way to get the garbage truck that we need. There is the refinancing as well. There is roughly $280,000, I think, dollars remaining in the Old Mill Fund, Old Mill Square Development Fund, that has not been used as part of the financing package. It is specifically purposed for the Old Mill Square, but if we refi this, we may have the opportunity to repurpose that money into general purpose funds so that we can use it for things that the city might deem as a higher priority. Those are just things that we will have to take a look at. Any other questions or comments about the truck or any other business anybody would like to bring up?
I'd just like to make a couple comments. That everyday truck is gonna go down eventually. All right,
This is 2015, the one is tore up, this is 2007.
and I don't think, and I say that everyday truck is sort of riding, I mean, a lot of it's riding on that truck every day now. And I say that because, we invested in these dumpsters, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago maybe. And also, when we invested in those dumpsters, we also invested in that service to dump these for these business owners. So, these everyday truck goes down and we can't dump those dumpsters. It's gonna be, one, it's gonna cut the service. Two, it's gonna eventually cost us more money to bring something in an emergency basis to dump all those dumpsters and make those business owners happy. So, I mean, I don't know that we even we've got to, I think we need to find the money somewhere. And
We will find the money.
Yeah.
Just, I was just brought it up because I was feeling good that I found some money,
Yeah.
and poof, it's gone.
Well, the other question I've got too, Al, I guess on these trucks that are turned in, I guess they have some type of warranty. They're refurbished and got some.
I hadn't made it that far with them, I know they going over everything. They put backup cameras on and everything. I did, we get there, why we ended up on the used truck or whatever. What we used to have, it was spark down here for the big duster. Dump on, because I put this and the other trucks out on the use every day because it's got more room and it saves us time running back and forth to the landfill.
Right. Yeah.
I said, it's the a new truck, like we're looking at, it's gonna cost about $240,000.
And I say that it affects the businesses and the dumpsters. We hadn't even talked about the residents and I mean, I don't, so I mean, it has a waterfall effect that it could affect a lot of people very quickly.
We have had them down and had to take the brush truck out,
Yeah.
the brush truck we got out there. And put people in the back of it, handed it to them, go up the back of the brush truck, so we get the truck fixed.
So all the old trucks that you're not using, what's happening to them?
Once we get it, the ones that I've got sitting over, I've got 2 pickups and that old garbage truck there, we can declare them surplus property and put them out there for bid, take seal bids on them or put them on gov deal and sell them.
Any other questions, comments, discussion, business anybody wants to bring up? Okay. Mayor's report. So I thought what I'd do is give a report of my 100-day plan that I put together. I think in the first or second council meeting after election, I presented my 100-day plan. So this is sort of just a status update. The end of December is about roughly 60 days into that plan, so almost 2/3 of the 100 days gone. So if you take a look up here, these are the items on the 100-day plan. The ones with the blue check marks are the ones that have been completed. I will say that this one right here hasn't really happened yet, although it has been agreed to happen. Economic development one of my campaign platform items. And so 58 Inc. will be putting on an economic development conference here at the Old Mill Square on January the 13th. So yeah, got it done. And also there are conferences. The one in January is on retail development. The one in February is on industrial development. And then there'll be a follow-on one in March. Now, the February and March ones won't be here in Columbiana. They'll be at one of the other municipalities in the county. But did get that one done. Got all the mayors in the Mayors Association to agree to it. So I went ahead and put a check mark on that. Review and adjust the city budget. We've talked a little bit about that. That is in work. I'm not real, until we needed a new garbage truck, I wasn't real concerned about the city budget other than the revenue side of it. And so we're taking a look at that to make sure that the revenue side of it is okay. And then I think there's going to have to be some budget adjustments made to deal with some of the issues that are coming up. City policies and procedures, we talked about that during the work session, and I think we talked about which ones we wanted to focus on there, and I asked for some help from the Personnel and Policy Committee. So I got review them and then update them, and so those two are really kind of going hand in hand. Refi and restructure of the city debt, I've just talked about that. We talked about enhancing the city org site. I have taken on the city organization review, but I have to do that obviously with help from all the department heads and everybody in the city. But really sort of taking a look at the how we're organized in a line, because over time roles and responsibilities have changed. They've sort of morphed, and I wanted to just make sure that we're organized in the most efficient manner, and that roles and responsibilities are clearly defined as a result of those changes. I put in here that I would meet with the individual department heads, and I am delinquent in doing that. So I did meet with the department heads before I was elected, but I need to have some quality one-on-one time to talk to those guys about issues, even though we do that on an as-needed basis. I just need to put some time, so I'm delinquent there. The visioning and strategic planning has not started. We talked a little bit about this at the work session. I want to engage a cross-section of resources from our city. You know, city departments, city leaders, city businesses, residents, civic organizations, you name it. I would like to engage that cross-section in this developing a vision and a what I'll call a integrated vision and strategy for the city. You can look at things like Main Street, Columbiana. They've developed a vision and a strategy for the city. Our planning commission has a vision 2035 that needs to be updated to vision 2040. They've created a vision and a limited strategy for the city, and you can probably several other little entities. The Shelby County Chamber of Commerce theoretically has a strategy for the entire Shelby County, but they're not all the same. We're not all on the same page, and if we're going to be effective at economic development and taking the city where we go, we gotta all be pulling on the same end of the rope. So my goal is to try to pull all those things together. And frankly, and I'm making an excuse now, COVID-19 is really kind of throwing a cog in the works there, because it's going to be hard to pull those resources together, especially now that we're kind of going through a COVID surge, if you will, and our hospitals are at capacity. Town hall meeting, same thing. I had originally planned to have a town hall in the first quarter of this year, probably in March, but that may need to be pushed out as well. So that's the reason I put that on TBD. So that's basically my report for this month, is to just give everyone an update on how this 100-day plan is proceeding. By the way, the 100 days is up, I think, on the 15th or somewhere around the 15th of February. Okay,
Did you say that economic, meeting was on January the 15th?
13th.
13th.
Yeah, it's
Wednesday?
I think. I started to say Wednesday, and then I'm not sure. Okay, announcements. I've got the Alabama Bass Trail 7 to 9 January. They're going to be at the Old Mill Square on the 7th, and they were planning on doing registration there. But they've recently contacted us, and they want to do that for the most part virtually. So I'm not quite sure what's going to be going on as far as the bass tournament at the Old Mill Square on the 7th. So more to come on that. On the 9th, which is this Saturday, there's a Forging Families 5K run, which will be kicking off at the Old Mill Square. I guess I'll be the starter for that thing, so I'd encourage everybody to come out. It's a very worthwhile charity. It provides funding for folks for adoption, and I think it's a really, really worthwhile cause. At the exhibition center here on the 21st and the 23rd, there's Shelby County Extreme Bulls. It's a bull riding contest. So for those of you who, many, many years ago, I rode the mechanical bull at Gillies, and I put it on the sissy mode, and I managed to stay on it. Okay. I'm not going to get on one of these things. On the 26th and 27th, the Cattleman's Rodeo on the 27th of February is Cowboy Day. Allie's already mentioned about what's going on with the Senior Center, and Johnny's already mentioned what's going on with the fire department. Are there any other announcements or any things that I've left off that we need to talk about? Anyone? Okay, we'll open it up to the gallery for comments or questions. Yes.
What's the amount of debt that we're looking at financing?
It's in the neighborhood, it's just under 13 million total. There's two pieces of that. And it's the same debt that we already have. It's not taking on any more debt. We're not going to change the term of the debt. We're just going to change the interest rate. There's obviously a fee for that, but we've baked that fee into it, and it still comes up to that $40,000 a month, assuming the interest rates stay where the concern is a potential to have inflationary pressure, depending upon what goes on with the new administration, the new Congress, et cetera, which could cause interest rates to rise.
We're locked in at the old rate now, right?
Yes, there's rates established now that are locked in, and so what this would do is allow us to, and we can't lock in this lower rate until we do this bond validation process, and that takes about 6 weeks. And so, like I said, we could have new administration, we could have completely new Congress, and there's a concern that inflationary pressure because of spending, pumping more money out for COVID relief and other types of support, which essentially all we're doing is printing that money, and that's obviously going to cause inflation and potentially drive interest rates up. I just want to make sure that we all get our money before that happens, right? So, before the inflation hits. Any other questions or comments? Okay, if not, I'll entertain.
I've got one question. Dale, what's going on at Springs Crossing? Are they continuing to build out there? We hadn't heard anything about. Are they still blowing the door?
I'm still submitting, permits, every couple of days for that, foundation surveys, done 3 of those today, so they're still working on the third sector, getting it ready to start building on. They're still doing some grading, utility work.
So the demand out there has been as heavy as it has been in the past, and they're still just
Yeah, they're still
on?
selling lots.
Good.
Because the interest rates are so
Yep.
low.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.